Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt, one of the few people on broadcast air who knows actually how markets work, is Stephanie Ruhle. You see her on MSNBC, and I was curious, Stephanie Ruhle, good morning. Great to talk to you as always, as to what you think the gridlock in Israel combined with Iran's attack on Saudi Arabian oil facilities, if that's indeed what happened, will do over the course of a couple of weeks to international markets and to international confidence.
Well, it's two things. I think that, obviously, over the weekend and Monday with the spike in oil prices, that was sort of an immediate reaction. But the broader situation is global instability. So when you're talking what's happening in that region, and then you factor in conflict between China and Hong Kong and the trade war and what's happening with Venezuela, issues around Russia, Turkey, Brexit, add all of these to the list, and that there are potentially 9 countries out there that could be facing a recession. All of this just reminds the markets that things aren't so stable. Now, when people say, yeah, but look at everyone flooding to U.S. markets and U.S. treasuries, that doesn't mean that the United States is doing phenomenally well. It means that there's a flight to quality, that we are the safest bet among global instability. But when you're hearing all of these stories, it's concern that things aren't as stable as you think they are.
Wall Street Journal headline this morning, Fed prepares second rate cut to cushion against global risks. The Federal Reserve is likely to cut its short-term benchmark, according to Nick Timiraos, by 1/4 percent point to between 1.75 and 2% at the conclusion of its two-day meeting on Wednesday. What make you of that, Stephanie Ruhle? Is the Fed just going to keep lowering, or is that in response to President Trump's jaw-jawing?
I'd like to believe, and I believe in my head and my heart, that the Fed remains an organization that's independent from the president. And while the president is very vocal about what he wants the Fed to do, we should always remember there's no president that wants, while he's in office, interest rates to go up. My concern around rates getting lower and lower is that we are at full employment. The economy is okay. And I worry that if we keep lowering rates, what cushion do we have when and if we need one?
Yeah, the Journal goes on to say Mr. Powell puzzled some investors at July press conference when he characterized that rate cut as a, quote, mid-cycle adjustment. His phrase was intended to draw parallels to 2 separate episodes in 95 and 98 when the Fed cut rates 3 times over several months and avoided recession. Some listeners took it to mean that the Fed might be done cutting rates, but it's not. So they've got to still be a little bit alarmed, just a touch alarmed, Stephanie Ruhle, about the fragility of the American boom.
And remember, I believe, and I may get the month wrong, so forgive me, I believe it was last October when Jay Powell was booming about how positive the economy was, and it seemed so strong in the foreseeable future. Well, foreseeable future, and then turn around and he's cutting rates. So I do think his word choices midsummer were a bit puzzling because, to your exact point, it almost seemed like he was adjusting his tie, right? Not taking it off and rolling up his sleeves. Those are two different things. And what we're really seeing is more take the tie off and roll up the sleeves because we got real work to do. And it was that rate cut in July that when he really made it seem like this is just a one-off that had people concerned going, Fed chair, are you seeing what's happening around the world? There's a real slowdown, sir.
Now, sometimes the news cycle moves so fast, we don't pause on the genuinely significant. I think Iran sending 20 cruise missiles and drones against Saudi Arabia is, in fact, a raising significantly of the ceiling of provocation of which they are capable. And I worry about the UAE's nuclear complex. Does the market fully understand what that meant, Stephanie Ruhle, in your opinion?
Absolutely not, and the market's not paying attention to it. In this moment, in this world of short-termism, and frankly, too many headlines, I worry that we don't realize the significance of it. And we really don't know, and we don't have a clear picture of how our administration wants to handle all of this. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that it doesn't seem like the markets are pricing all of this in.
Stephanie Ruhle, always a pleasure. See you later today on MSNBC America. Don't go anywhere. Coming right back with Chris Cillizza. He joins me next on the Hugh Hewitt Show. You always follow him at Cillizza CNN. You follow Stephanie at S Ruhle, Ruhle, on Twitter. I'll be right back.